So here's my summary of the book up to now. We're going to enter chapter 5. So I'll tell you what each chapter says, just so you have a picture, and then we will get into chapter 5. Chapter 1 says that in Judaism we have to believe in 6 things. And they are: 1, that there is God, that God exists, that God is perfect, that His existence is necessary, which means that if God didn't exist, nothing would exist. And if nothing would exist, God still would exist. Okay? And next, that He is independent of anything else. That is, His existence is not dependent on anything else. Our existence is dependent on multiple things. For example, your existence is dependent on your parents. If they didn't get together that one night, you wouldn't be here. Right? Don't try to picture, don't try to go through in your mind. But your existence is dependent. It's dependent on lots and lots of factors, right? Because your existence is dependent on your grandparents, right? And their parents, and that is go back. That is, our existence is always dependent on other things, on causes. But God's existence is independent. That God is simple and God is unique and one. We know the existence of God because we have a tradition that goes back to Har Sinai, to Mount Sinai, where our ancestors told us that they experienced God. That's a very important factor in the Derech Hashem. That the reason we know that God exists is because our ancestors experienced God. And they couldn't fake it. You can't fake something and argue that 2.5 million people experienced something that never happened. Okay. Now, chapter 2. What's the purpose of creation? Right? If there's God and God created the universe, what's the purpose of creation? So the purpose of creation is to do good for others. That's what God wants. He wants to bestow upon us His goodness. Okay? But He does so in a perfect way. And in order to do this perfectly, there are some rules. So like what? That the bestowing of goodness is dependent on our connection to God. The stronger our connection to God is, the more good we receive from God. Right? So the image I gave last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago, is that imagine it's very cold outside and you go into this hot shower. The water's just, perfect. And you're under there and the water is flowing and it's warm and it's just you in the water. And then all of a sudden, like the water seems to be like only watering half of you. So what does that mean? It means that you actually moved out of the stream a certain way. That is, God wants to continually shower you with goodness. But your behavior, sometimes you go off. So it appears that now you're getting only hot water on this side and nothing here. So you adjust, right? Sometimes you adjust too much and you get only on this side, not this side. The idea is that God's goodness comes down in an equal manner. It all depends if you're putting yourself under the shower head or not. Right? Okay. So the way to connect to God is by doing good. That is, by doing what God does. That's essentially what Judaism is about. For us to do what God does. And the more levels of perfection that we are able to achieve and become better and better people, then our connection to God becomes better and better and better. Yes, but God is absolute perfect. We're not. We're never going to be absolutely perfect. You're going to be relative perfect or complete. So you've perfected yourself relatively to what you were before. But with regard to God, you can't. It's not. Okay. And we are created in a position between two states. Completion or perfection and lack, a lack thereof. And you can go either way. You can either move yourself into the camp of becoming better and better, Or you can move yourself to the camp of becoming worse and worse. It's up to you. It's up to you.
2 states, sorry, what were they?
Either to completion,
Okay.
or to the lack, to kilkul, destruction. Okay. Chapter 3. We have free will to decide whether we want to make ourselves better, make our society better, make the world better, or make it worse. It's up to you. God not only gave you the ability to choose, which is important, but He also gave you the power to execute the decision that you made. Okay? God gave you the ability to do enormous amount of damage if you just wanted to. You could do enormous damage. Or you could do enormous good. All depends on what you want to do. It's up to you. It's powerful stuff, isn't it? You just have to make a choice. Okay? Moshe, you with me?
Yeah, have to make a choice.
Now, we are made up of 2 parts.
Spiritual, physical.
Beautiful. A body and a soul. And they are in constant state of war. The body pulls you in one direction, and the soul is supposed to pull you in another direction. Why is it done so? Anybody?
So we can have free will.
You can have free will. Now, the reward for our perfection and our greater level of completion takes place in the world to come. It is not in this world. There's a time where the soul is separate from the body withers away in a grave, and the soul receives the reward for all its hard work. If the soul did not work hard, then less of a reward. But the soul is not going to be able to perfect the body until the body is completely destroyed. It's important to remember that. Being human means you're going to be fallible. You're going to make mistakes. The body's going to pull you down. But you can pull it back up. Okay. Chapter 4. We start out in our life more on the side of materialism, more of the side of the body. Because if you think of a baby, right, most of it, what he wants is physical things. Food, love, warmth, bodies picked up, change a diaper. You guys are too young for that, but they're like, all they want is like stuff, and they want toys, and they want this, and they want... That's how we're made out. And slowly but surely, as the child receives more and more education, and the intellect develops more and more of its capabilities, then that individual can separate from materialism or from the pull of matter and go in a different direction. But the sphere of our activities is all materialistic. All of it. You need food, you need water, you need money, you need all the things that the body requires. So our sphere of activity is all material. Yet within that we are able to activate our spiritual soul. That's what he explains in chapter 4. So how do we do that? So that when we use the world that God created, we use it according to the way that he told us we could use it. And where did he tell us how to use this physical world? Anybody?
Holy Land?
In the Torah.
Whoa,
Yeah, that's where.
Except what? Okay.
Right? So in the Torah, God tells us how to use the physical world. If you want to eat, what does the Torah tell you?
Make a bracha.
You make a bracha. You make a blessing, and then you can eat it. When you're done eating, you make another bracha. Everything in the physical world that you're allowed to partake, there are boundaries that God set. And the boundaries are meant for us to utilize the world for our existence, yet still maintain and grow our spiritual side. Okay? So are you allowed to drink wine? Kosher wine.
Yeah.
You're allowed to drink kosher wine?
Yeah. Not stam.
No, you can't drink?
Gotta make a blessing.
You got to make a blessing. Fine, so we made a blessing. Can I drink?
You make half a blessing.
Yeah? So I get a bottle of wine. Can I drink a bottle of wine every day and make a blessing?
That doesn't sound too good.
If you elevate it, yes.
Unhealthy, but yeah.
What?
It's unhealthy.
Why is it unhealthy?
I mean, it kills your brain cells.
Well, really? Does it? Anybody here?
Yes.
It does?
Big you are.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what alcohol.
Antioxidants.
Oh, see, you're hard. You're
Definitely kills brain cells.
see, I don't really drink.
If you use it to elevate your spirituality, then it's a good thing.
Every day I get like a bottle of wine. I sit down and I Hashem L'chaim, make a bracha, borei pri hagefen, drink the whole bottle.
Even cardiologists say that it's good to have some alcohol every day.
And if they didn't say, even if they didn't say, forget what they say. Well, that's not. We're learning about the spiritual side, not the physical side.
Didn't that big rabbi like took a cup of
A goblet of wine,
this big
Arak.
rabbi, Arak,
arak,
and a cigarette. Well, I forgot it. Baba Sali.
Baba Sali, of
He
course.
would take like a cup of thing and cigarettes, and then he would go to the biggest Kabbalist, no?
Yeah, yeah.
Go to the what?
He's
He's a
sanctified
Kabbalist,
in a
yeah.
way. So then you can do it.
No, so the reason I'm asking you because this is a machlokes. It's an interesting discussion between Rashi and the Ramban on Parshas Kedoshim. Because the question is, how do you become holy? Rashi says that you become holy by following the Torah. Bless you. The Ramban, who's another rabbi from the Middle Ages, says that holiness is achieved through putting boundaries within the boundaries. Like, yeah, the Torah allows you to drink kosher wine every day, but you're not going to reach holiness that way. To reach holiness is you have to create a boundary even within that. It's a certain idea. So the idea here, the Ramchal is talking about simply that when we use the physical world, we have to be aware that God gave us boundaries on how to use it. And by using it according to the divine boundaries, we make sure that the body doesn't take over the soul and essentially dictate to the soul what to do. Everybody with me? Okay. So there are really two categories of mitzvahs, says the Ramchal in chapter 4. There's what we call prescriptive commandments and prohibitive. What is prescriptive?
Tasa.
Yeah, but if somebody doesn't know what tasa means, what's prescriptive? Things to do. God says, I want you to do. Give me an example of a mitzvah that you should do.
Kiddush.
What?
Kiddush.
Kiddush.
Tefillin.
Tefillin.
Mezuzah.
Mezuzah.
Menachas orchim.
Achnasat orchim. Good. Do you guys know what these Hebrew words mean? If you don't, please let me know. So tefillin is, the phylacteries. Achnasat orchim is bringing guests into your house.
Tzedakah.
Tzedakah, charity.
Sukkah.
Sukkah, right?
Pesach. Shabbat.
Pesach, right? Shabbat, right? Kiddush is blessing the wine on Friday night and on Shabbos morning. Good.
Chillins and chillin.
What?
Chillins and chillin.
Cholent.
Chillins, like children and chillin.
Children? Yeah,
What?
children is definitely a commandment.
Chillin's like a tradition.
Yeah, it's a minhag. Though,
It is a mitzvah. I wouldn't do it. Performing that mitzvah.
now there are some mitzvahs that are not prescriptive, they're prohibitive. What's prohibitive?
Things we can't do.
Things you shouldn't do. Give me some examples of mitzvahs that you shouldn't do.
Eat bacon.
Don't kill.
Eat bacon.
Right.
A mitzvah is only a good thing. How's there a mitzvah you shouldn't do?
Idol worship.
Oh, very good question, Bert. Very good. So you're pointing out the two usages of the word mitzvah. The word mitzvah in Hebrew means commandment. We use in English, when we say, do the mitzvah, it's a mitzvah to do this. It means it's a good thing to do. But that's already sort of leaving the linguistic meaning of the term, which means commandment, and going into sort of like another realm. But in reality, we really have two types of mitzvahs. We have mitzvahs that are prohibitive, don't do, like don't eat pork, right? Don't break Shabbos. What?
Stealing.
Don't steal?
Is there more do this than don't do this? As far as the 6
Oh, excellent question. So what do you think there are more?
Don't.
There are more don't.
The more don't.
It's like a typical household. Don't do this. Don't. Nobody says you have to, you can take the trash. No, you do take the trash. But don't do this. Don't take my car. Don't touch my stuff. Don't move.
Take your shoes off.
Don't not take this.
Is rape not one of them? Rape.
Rape?
Yeah.
You're not allowed to. It's awesome.
It's a mitzvah to not rape someone.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're not allowed to do
You're
this.
getting a
You
mitzvah
know,
every
you're not
second.
allowed.
Mitzvah rape.
Right?
So every second you're getting a mitzvah for raping?
Yeah,
No.
it is.
Well, so here's the question. So Moshe is asking a very good
Yeah.
question. And we talked about this. I remember talking about this in this yeshiva at least 46 times. Now it's going to be the 47th.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing.
Two more, we tie up one back.
So what's a higher level? A person that has, if you know the answer, be quiet. A person has a desire to sin, but controls it, or a person that has no desire to sin whatsoever.
Hey,
What do you think is a higher level?
hey.
A, which is what?
Which is this person wants to sin, but he controls himself.
Okay, do you agree with that? What do you think?
I'm thinking about it.
The person wants to what?
So what's the higher level? Like, what do you think is a higher level? A person that has a desire to sin, yet controls it, and a person that has no desire to perform the sin at all. Like it's not an issue.
Can I clarify something real quick?
I don't know. You could try.
It's a question that I'm asking you, and depending on your answer, it's my basis. for my
Okay.
answer. We're as the Jewish nation, we're considered holier than the angels, right? Because we have free will.
Okay, I don't know that I would agree with that statement at this stage of the game.
Okay. That's what I was taught, and I'm basing my answer off of this.
Okay.
So I think that in this day and age, since we do have free will, and since we do have a desire to sin,
Yes,
and
we control it.
most Jews control it, I think that we are more holy because angels, they don't have free will and they don't have.
So so you agree with them, pretty much.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
go with B
You're gonna go with B. Why?
because Adam was created first, and he was created not to sin, right?
Yeah. So, but he had the desire, didn't he?
Which is what made him sin.
I guess.
Stick with B, man.
I feel like it's the same idea
He's right
of
answer.
someone who was raised religiously and it's all they know and there was never really a say. You know, that's someone who came to it and made a choice to become religious. Is, you know, cause I forget what it's called exactly, but it's considered on a higher level. So if someone has a choice in it, more of a choice. So that would
Okay.
be considered a better thing.
All right.
Plus, God knows what you're thinking and all.
So okay, no, but we're talking about a person who has no desire.
Yitzchak.
So a person that has desire would be.
So now I'll give you the case. So all of you who said having the desire and controlling it is better than the other way around. So we have a 3-year-old girl.
We didn't get a chance. That's three.
I know because you've heard this before.
But I forgot.
How can you forget this? Wait. So you got a 3-year-old girl. How many of you desire to sleep with her?
Yeah.
less.
Well, wait a second. I'm giving you the example, right? You said that having the desire and controlling it is a higher level than having no desire whatsoever.
Okay, fine.
So you have grandma.
I have no desire to sleep with her. Okay.
But you should have the desire then, because you would be in a better place if you had the desire and you don't want to act on it.
I can't go out of my way to force myself to desire something I don't want. But let's
So
say
then, wait a minute.
if bacon.
So you're not. So you're. No, because the idea you said, when I don't rape, do you have the desire to rape right now?
Contextual.
Right.
Yeah, it's contextual, I would say.
Contextual. Fine.
Maybe if I see, who knows? Maybe if I see a really good-looking girl walking down the street, maybe I have desire to rape.
Really?
Maybe.
So that would be like, no way. That can't be. That can't. No, I'm saying that can't be. That person cannot be on a higher level than the person who has no desire to rape.
Do like the Hadorim? Do
Yeah.
they have like all these desires we don't know about?
But I don't think they're walking around thinking like,
Yeah.
ooh, see this I'd rape her
clearly
in a
on that
second.
level.
Yeah.
They're clearly
Like you should have stayed with B.
I did stay with B.
Oh,
I
good.
never switched.
Okay, but you were
I
like,
just couldn't explode it all.
So B is right.
B is wrong also.
Both wrong.
See, rabbis always ask tricky questions. You had to stay with me. I'll tell you what. This question was asked by the Rambam in Shmona Prachim. It's his introduction to a section in the Mishnah. And he asks this question. He says, what's better? Is it better to have the desire and not sin, or have no desire at all? And his answer then becomes as follows. It depends on what sin we're talking about. If we're talking about, there are some sins that you should never have the desire for.
Okay.
And there are some sins, it's perfectly fine to have the desire, and you should control it. For example, if you have a desire to eat pork, there's nothing wrong with you,
No.
because it's normal.
But don't you get a bigger zchut than someone that has no desire to eat pork?
Correct. But if you have a desire to murder or to rape or to be with a 3-year-old girl, what does that mean? It means that there's something really wrong with you, because the desire itself is wrong.
But people
So
are
it
born
really-
with different challenges.
What?
If aren't people born with different challenges? Like someone may be born with a challenge to.
So you want to say that pedophilia is now genetic? They're born with it? That a
Not born with
pedophile
it,
is...
but that's spiritually speaking, maybe that's the thing they didn't fix in their last lifetime, and now they're born with a bigger test to fix it.
So, but the question is, what is the fix? The fix is getting rid of the desire altogether. Not having the desire, not acting on it.
But don't you think not acting on
Like
it?
if you were you have a desire to kill somebody, there's something wrong with you. We call that psychopath, don't we? Because we shouldn't desire that type of sin. And so we have to put the sins, the sins in categories. And there are some things that it's okay to have the desire. And let's say you want to eat pita bread on Pesach. There's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't make you an evil person. Right? That you want to eat pita bread and you've had enough of these crackers. But on the other hand, if you are thinking about rape or murder, that means there's something wrong with you. Please see me after class. Bernie, you with me? What do you think? Do you agree with that?
What categorizes what the sin is that you need to fix yourself, and what? Because maybe eating pork is just as bad as murdering.
The Rambam says no.
Or aren't there some sins like Shabbat is breaking Shabbat is as bad as
There are some sins I would say it would be sort of logical that you need to remove them from your personality. Whereas others, it's not a question of logic. It's not a question of reason. Like wanting to steal is also a big problem. You shouldn't have the desire to steal. Shouldn't. I mean, if you're looking around, go walking in the dorms going like, oh, we're taking that.
Like that jacket.
Right, yeah. No, it's okay to say, I really like the jacket. You could say that. But not like, I really like to take it. I won't, but I want to take it. We're not kleptomaniacs. So that is sort of the idea of the mitzvahs. Okay?
But where are you saying that urge comes from?
Of what urge?
Like if you want to steal that coat, what is that? Where does that urge come?
It's an excellent question. So I'll bring in another source. Rav Dessler, who is one of the leading, was one of the leading rabbis in the 20th century. He wrote a book, Michtav Meliyahu, which is of 5 volumes of his writings. So he really says that all of the things that we think about really come from our will. There's something, we have a will of things that we want. And what we want, then we tell the intellect to tell us how to get it. And then the intellect sort of creates a pathway to get it. So for example, if the intellect says, a person says, I want to go to Tel Aviv tonight, then the intellect automatically sets up a plan. Go on the internet, look for the bus, get a cab, whatever, check out with friends. And the intellect will tell you how to get there. And it'll get you there. There's something that is your ratzon that is telling you of what you want. And that is the aspect that we have to really work on. To look at what do we really want. And are we really aware of what we want? And it does take a significant amount of self-knowledge to know how we work. That you have to know yourself, and so that sometimes you have an idea here, and you don't know why you're thinking of it. And so you have to sort of ask yourself. This is where psychology comes from, and lots of other aspects, where to try to figure out, where's this coming from? Why is it that now, if a person is stealing food to eat because they don't have, I'll give you an example from the Torah. It's a very odd example for me until I found an answer for this. So when Joseph, remember his brothers sold him to Egypt, and he got there as a slave. And then he was in prison for about 12 years. He gets out of prison, becomes the ruler of Egypt, and the brothers go down. Right? They're looking to get some food. And he recognizes the brothers, and he sort of creates an entrapment situation. He takes a silver cup and puts it in the bag of one of the brothers, and then sends the cops to get they say, hey, so one of you stole something from us. They open the sack, they find the cup, but before they find the cup, the brother says, no, whatever you catch, will belong to you, will be your slave. They find it in the younger brother, and it was all a setup. And Joseph says, see? So I'll take him to be my slave. So Judah says to him, no, I will be your slave. And the rabbis say that there, Judah says to him the following idea. He says, according to Jewish law, that won't work. What you want to do. So I was speaking to a group, and I said, it's kind of like an Israeli, or imagine an American guy travels to Thailand and gets busted for carrying drugs. Okay? And then they throw him in jail, and then the judge, he goes before a Thai judge, and he says to the judge, listen, judge, according to American law, you're violating my rights and you got to let me go. Like, what do you think the judge would say?
You're not in America.
That's right. Why is Judah talking about Jewish law to an Egyptian ruler?
Because I think Jewish law applies to any Jew.
So, but just imagine that we're using the same logic. An American law should apply to every American, and a Thai judge would say, what are you talking about? Who cares? The crime has happened here. The fact that this guy is an American, I don't really care. He broke Thai law. He's got to stay in prison. Midnight Express. Right? So why is Judah talking about Jewish law?
Because maybe word got out when Yosef became...
Nobody knew that he was
Jewish?
They had no idea.
Well, was he just proposing the idea since
Yeah, but it makes no sense. Why are you proposing an idea? Don't the Egyptians have laws themselves? They don't need you. Just imagine in an American court, a guy from Israel a rabbi gets arrested, and he says, according to Jewish law, I didn't break any laws. You got to let me go. Like, listen, it's a federal crime. You're going to jail. Sorry, Jewish law says I'm free to go.
But he's still going to jail. He's just taking his brother's place, right?
No. He's trying to get his brother out of jail. So he's coming up with an idea from Jewish law. Doesn't make any sense, right? But look at what brilliance Judah is saying to Joseph. He says to him, look, according to Jewish law, to be a slave, you have only one way. When somebody steals, you have two options. If the slave has money, he pays. If the person doesn't have any money, he becomes a slave. That's the rule. If a Jewish guy steals and he has money to pay, he pays. If he doesn't have any money to pay, he becomes a slave. Okay? And he says Benjamin has money to pay. That's what he tells him. So what's the idea behind this? He's saying to Joseph, you don't want a thief that has money. A thief that has money means that he is stealing, not because he needs it. Because he's just morally corrupt. And that kind of guy you don't want in your house. If you have somebody who's stealing that doesn't have any money, then it doesn't mean the person is a bad person. It might be just circumstances that they need the money. They don't really have a choice. So that person you can trust being a slave in your house. But if you've got a guy who has money, who can afford to buy, I never forget when I arrested a long time ago a couple for stealing a jacket. All right, the jacket was like $90, and they had $300 in cash. And I didn't understand. I said to them, "Why didn't you just pay? You have the money."
You arrested
You were a
someone.
police officer?
No,
Citizen's arrest.
no, even better. I used to work
cashier.
I used to work undercover catching shoplifters in different
really?
places. Yeah,
Where was this?
In LA.
the States?
in LA.
Macy's.
No, I was in Nordstrom's. I was Sports Mart.
Okay.
And they were arguing like, we have kids at home. I'm like, "Well, I'm sorry. You come to a store, you've got $300 in cash. You take a jacket that's $90. What are you thinking? Like, just let me go.
They needed the money.
They need the money.
They needed the money for food.
No. No.
They needed the money for
Why are you in Nordstrom
for
getting a
shoplifting.
$90 jacket? Go to a cheaper store and
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, it was a very, very. When I saw this explanation of what Judah is saying to Joseph, it made a lot of sense to me. He's saying to Joseph, you don't want a slave that has money that steals, because he's not stealing because he needs it. He just steals it because he's got bad morals. You can't have that you don't want that kind of guy in your house. And if he can't afford to pay, then not the guy. You should have a slave. It means like the guy is nebuch. He needs the money, he needs a place to eat, he needs food. So let him work off to pay his debt to society. But he's like a good guy. He's just circumstances. That's the idea. So if a person has the desire to steal, depends on what's going on. If the person, I don't know if I told you this. There was a guy who's a very poor guy. It's a true story. He was diagnosed with a serious fatal disease that in Israel, he needed certain medication that wasn't covered by insurance. And the medication would cost him about, let's put it about $5,000 a month. A month. Okay? $4,500 a month. There's no way he could afford it. He took the prescription to the pharmacist. The pharmacist made, the concoction, the medication, put it on the counter, and went to write up a bill. The guy grabbed the medication and ran out. Okay? It turned out the pharmacist made a mistake in the medication. Instead of putting the active ingredient 0.1, it was 1.0, which meant it was 10 times more than he needed, which meant that he had irreparable damage to his body once he took it. And so he sued the pharmacist. So what do you think? Is the pharmacist guilty?
They're both guilty.
Who's guilty?
What did he sue for? Did he sue
For damages of what happened to him.
So okay, he's
No, if he.
he won.
Who won?
The case.
No, he's not.
The patient.
The patient. According to Jewish law, you think he would win?
Not according to
according
Jewish law, according to
State's
American
law.
State's law, the thief would actually win in court because of the mistake that the pharmacist.
But the pharmacist didn't give him anything.
But see, he was in the middle of writing up a bill.
But
Which means
he
that
didn't give it to him.
But he was going.
If you reach over the counter and grab medications and you take it, can you sue the pharmacist for your overdose?
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
That specific medication, yeah.
Why?
Because it was concocted specifically.
All right, we'll stop here because the people want to daven mincha at 3:45.